Welcome to the Pineapple Pinup, the Hot Wife Life podcast. On today's episode, we get to talk about the party I threw last week, or sorry, on Saturday. So, this party that we had was so last minute. It was so spur of the moment. We decided to throw it on Thursday, and by Saturday, we had 26 or 29, I can't remember the exact number, but I had like RSVPs going, and then I had like, if you included the maybe going, there was like over 50. And because of the fact that we are not really equipped to handle large crowds, we actually had to cut off the RSVPing at that point to make sure that we had enough room for everybody to fit. I do not know the exact numbers. I know that there were 6 women there. The men ranged the guest count ranged from 17 to 20, various stages of the evening. It was a really, really great party. It was the kind of party where everybody shows up and there's no expectations. There's nothing that like, "Oh, well, we have to do this." So, I, of course, went over the rules. The big rule for me this time was that don't do anything outside of the room that's gonna get us in trouble. That was my biggest concern, because things had happened in that hotel before, and actually, when I was signing into the hotel, the people next to me had to sign a waiver that they were not gonna throw a party. I didn't have to sign that waiver. I'm not sure why I didn't have to sign that waiver, but I didn't have to sign that waiver. But at the same time, I wanted to be respectful. And I basically told everybody who was coming to the party, do not check in at the desk. Just come to the room, knock on the door. Because we're not trying to be loud or obtrusive or put anybody in a position where they have to participate in our activities. That's not at all what this is about. This is about us having a very neutral ground to engage in the lifestyle party that we want to be having without having it be somebody's home that's getting, used. So my start up. Okay, so to start any party, we put out black lights. We put out a speaker so that we can play music throughout the party. We turn the TVs to something very neutral, and then we put shower curtains on the beds underneath the sheets so that we can make a mess and not ruin the hotel room because there have been incidents where people have done things on these beds and they have ruined the mattresses, and then the host ends up getting charged. So putting down the shower curtains under the sheets is a genius way to avoid anything other than a sheet being ruined. And a sheet's not going to get you charged $300. So it was a perfect scenario. We had a king bed in one room, then we had a living room and a kitchenette in the middle, and then we had 2 queen beds, and there was a bathroom in each one of the bedrooms. And it made it so that the party was spread out, but also very communal. To start the night, I went I went in and turned all of the air conditioners down. Down, 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 so that way they were blowing and it was super cold. The one bedroom got colder than the other room, and so I sort of staked claim in a very toddler fashion. "Please don't come in my room. This is my room. This is my room. This is my room," because I get too hot. So some of the things that we have learned from this party, as well as others that we've attended, is that we need to have our party bag ready to go. That so it has and um the lights and fans and towels and condoms and lube all packed and ready to go, so that way we're not scrambling to get the things that we're going to need right before the party. Because as it was, we were running around trying to get, like, the snacks and stuff and trying to message everyone to tell them where the party was at the party time. So it was it was very hectic, and at one point, when it first started, we had a few people show up, and one of them was this kid named Noah, and he did not stay long. He literally came in, sat down for a few minutes, talked to me, and then he bolted. I'm not sure what he was expecting, but he was a little young to be playing in that atmosphere anyway. Um, it's something that you kind of need to have maturity, and some, I don't know how to say it. The thing was, we're not checking IDs. We're never gonna check IDs, but you can kind of feel when somebody's, like, a little not ready for this. And he made his way out, and that was all great. Um, so by the time the party started, I went over the rules, and then it was a shotgun blast. It was everybody scattered, and clothes came off, and I ended up in a room with a couple of guys and another lady, and we were having a great time. We were like, "Which way are we turning? Which way are we going? Which way?" Like, let's puzzle this out so that whichever way we need to be on the bed, everybody can fit. So let me see. I really, this is going to be such a like little details missed kind of thing, because if you've ever been to a party, it is extreme. It is it's like trying to keep up with everything, and you're trying to remember details, and you can't even remember the name of the guy whose cock is in your hand, and you're trying to remember the guy whose cock is in your pussy, and you're trying very hard to keep everybody straight while you're licking the head of this cock that's in the other hand. It's very, very, it's so much information, and I am going to be very bad at downloading the information to you. So please bear with me. The night literally had so much activity. There were guys there that wanted to that had okay, this is a very real thing, and nobody needs to be ashamed of it. Some guys cannot wear condoms because it makes their dick soft. It just automatically shrinks everything, and it's just not gonna happen. So, there is no shame in that. There's absolutely no shame in that, because it's a real thing. And it happens to so many guys that there are some guys that are literally need so much stimulation in order to get hard in a condom that it's a little bit fatiguing to them and to the people that they're with. It takes some guys so much effort to do it that they just opt not to do it. So there was one gentleman there who had very much the want and desire to be part of the play. And because of the fact that he was having this reaction to condoms being on his dick, he was 100% hands down the oral master of the night. He he got me off with his mouth and his fingers probably 3 times. And I am not somebody who really comes for oral. I like oral is one of those really just awkward things that I'm not like, guys, I love you. And I know that there are some of you out there that can really, really lick a pussy. But in all actuality, you're not on the same plane with women understanding what's going on down there. And so you kinda tend to think of it differently and like a sometimes guys think of it as like a tiny little cock in there, and they understand pressure and everything for them, but they just don't understand pressure and everything for us. And it is not an insult. It is literally you don't have that skill, and I am not somebody who has patience for spending a lot of time trying to figure out the lollipop. So for me, I tend to stop a lot of guys from doing a lot of oral on me because I just know it's not going anywhere because the skill set that I need and every pussy's different and every pussy is unique in its what pressure is good and what so it's hard, especially in a party situation, to figure out what that woman wants from you and what that woman needs to get off. So understand that sometimes she's calling a halt to it, not because of the fact that you're doing anything wrong, but you're just not doing the thing she needs you to do to get her where she's going. So, or at least that's what I do. I stop people because I'd rather be doing something else than trying to talk people through oral. Because when they take direction, it's very, very lovely. But it's kind of muffly down there. Like it's hard to hear a woman saying left, left, left when her thighs are basically covering your ears, especially my thighs. I mean, they're not small thighs. So we're gonna, I give them a pass because, first of all, it's a crazy atmosphere. But anyway, so this guy was an oral god. And he did the thing with his fingers where he sticks it inside and then curls it up and then come here motion. And believe me, honey, I came there. I came right there. Oh, so good. Um, there were oh my god, there were so many times when I literally had a cock in each hand, a cock in my pussy, and guys standing around waiting for to be next. It Every girl in that place had multiple cocks going at one single time, and it was amazing. There was no there was nobody who was basically the punch bowl, and I say that because in the past, I have been the only girl playing at parties, and sometimes I had a little incident with a cannoli, like, bogarting the punch bowl, and so there was none of that situation. Everybody had a playmate. Everybody had multiple ways that they could get around. We had m men, like, sucking our tits while someone was fucking us. It was the most amazingly communal night I think we've ever experienced. It was no drama. It was so much fun. It was orgasming and it was giggling and it was just freaking awesome. Um, that was, I guess, the best way to describe the night. Okay. So there was one small hiccup. The party was scheduled to go 7 to 1 a.m. And unfortunately, I kind of threw my hip out a little bit because it was stuck in one position for a little bit too long because I was doing multiple partners in the same position. And it was basic it was basically like a conga line, and it was so much fun, but eventually it got to the point where my hip just sort of, like, froze up and I couldn't go on. So the party that was supposed to go until 1 a.m. ended up kind of breaking up around 11. People stayed the night at the hotel, which was absolutely fine with me and my husband because, yes, our name is on the room. And yes, we are responsible for anything that goes on in there. But the people that came were so respectful and so understanding of what it was we were trying to do. Because I made it a very salient point in my going over the rules that we are not trying to get found out. We are not trying to get discovered. We are not trying to get anybody into trouble. We are literally just trying to have a night of excitement and fun. And everybody was on board for the play. And it was great. There were a couple of people that kept coming to me and asking me to play without a condom. Now, in these scenarios, I do not play without a condom. As a matter of fact, unless I am one on one with a bull that I have made basically kind of a commitment to, I don't play without condoms for a myriad of reasons, but because of the fact that safety is paramount to me. So I had a couple of guys that were just basically looking to like get me to agree to let them come on me, in my mouth, whatever, without like the whole night. And that was a little frustrating. But at the same time, I mean, if that's the worst thing I'm going through, I'm in. Um, we we do not provide alcohol. So anybody who had alcohol brought their own, and nobody got too drunk. And I literally cannot say enough about how well this party went. It was incredibly fun. It was incredibly exciting. It was such a beautiful time. And the ladies were so much fun. And we were giggling and laughing and floating from room to room and finding new guys to play with. And we were taking it all in stride and taking it to the mattresses, if you will. We I am so like, it was such a great time. Um, let me see. I don't really have any standout moments that I can share with you. There was one actually. Ugh, okay. So there are certain things that are a little bit difficult to do when you're doing multiple people on multiple, like on the beds. When there are multiple people on each bed, um, it kind of gets a little hard to do super crazy positions. And there was this one, oh my God, he pushed me over onto my stomach, pressed me flat, and fucked me from behind. And I was loving it. I was arching my ass up so that he could get proper, true depth. And that position was so tight and so, oh my God. And his BBC was filling every corner, every millimeter that I had deliciously. It was fantastic. It was the one moment when I was like, okay, let's do this more. Um, Luckily, he is a local bull and has expressed interest in spending more time with me. And I love that. I love that. I can't wait. I'm so excited. So I will update you on all of that, of course. But the party itself, it was great. I am so grateful for everybody who came. I am so grateful for everybody's attitude towards the night. I was blown away by how just mellow everybody was. And it was, there were no complaints at all whatsoever, period. There was one. I was really, really upset with myself for tapping out early, but sometimes you have to take what's going on in your body seriously. You have to say, "You know what? It's better for me to tap out here than try to push forward." So, that is one thing that I kinda wish hadn't happened, but all in all, great party, great time, so much fun, so many cocks, so much fun. Okay, so I had somebody reach out to me with a question about what's the difference between a fetish and a kink. To be completely accurate, a fetish is when you fetishize something, it's giving it a lot of importance. Like you're you give it so much weight and so much that it becomes this thing that is way more important than it would normally be. So that's why fetishes and it's kind of got this psychological feel to it. Now, fetishes, like I have told you in the past, are usually born from some sort of fear. And fetishes, fetishes, sorry, I'm not even going to try to attempt the word that I was trying to attempt. Fetishes lead to kinks, and a kink is, if you look it up in the dictionary, is literally a bend. It's literally That's all it is. You've got a bend towards this thing, and that's what makes it a kink. So, a kink is sort of a colloquial way of saying, "I have this fetish and I am playing with it." Because a lot of times, if you fetishize something, you don't actually go out and experience it. You just literally fetishize it and it plays in your mind, and that's the only thing you ever do. But taking that fetish and creating a kink out of it, creating something that you can go and play with, where you're bent towards it, where I like this and I'm going to see where it goes. That is the difference between fetishizing something and having a kink. So, in this particular realm of things, you can be somebody who thinks a lot and puts a lot of importance on let's I'm sorry, I'm just gonna use some, um, examples in my own life. I have I fetishize domination because I have a fear of losing control. I have a fear of not being in control. So, I fetishize domination. Now, I have not really played a lot in the realm. So, my kink is not necessarily that anymore because I'm not constantly searching to play in that zone. My husband fetishized being cheated on, which became a kink that we play all the time. That's where we are playing, is in that, like, from that fetishization of being cheated on, we are now playing into that fear, and we are making it something that we can handle and something we can play with and something we can find enjoyment from. So that's basically the difference between a fetish and a kink. A fetish is something you think about and give importance to. A kink is something you bend towards. I don't know if that is the definition that anybody else uses for this, but I think that's the way I like to think about it because you can have very destructive fetishes. You can have very destructive things that play over and over and over in your mind, but until you take it out and play with it, it's not it's just a mental thing. So when you take it out and play with it and, put it out there, that's the difference. That's when it becomes a kink or a bend or something along that line. Um, but do make sure that when you are exploring your fetishes, be curious about them. Okay. So if you have this thing that you're like a foot fetish, okay? So if you have this thing where you really like feet and you love toes and you love, be curious. What is it that that foot fetish is giving me? What is it that that foot fetish, what is it that when I play that to that kink, what is that giving me? And the reason I say this is because when you are curious about your kinks, when you're curious about your fetishes, you can kind of work it backwards to figure out what that fetish is feeding from, what fear you are uncovering. Okay. Because when you are playing in the lifestyle, it is all great if you're doing it consensually. And as I've said many, many times, consent starts from within. So if you're curious about what the fetish is giving you, what the fetish is giving to you, what you're getting from it, it helps you to understand so that when you're playing with your kink, you're not exacerbating the fear. You're not creating some psychological trauma from your fetish. Okay. Make sure that you're curious. Ask yourself, what is this doing? Now, in the case of my husband and I, though our lifestyle, I've said it many times that this is my husband's kink. For me, it's literally just orgasms. I mean, that's what I'm getting out of it. And the fact that I get to go have orgasms with multiple people and explore my pleasure to the fullest, I don't necessarily know if it's a kink or if it is just enjoying my life to the very fullest. And of course, by fullest, I mean fill it all the way up. So I'm not sure if that answers the question the way that that you were hoping it did, but that's and again, 100% my opinion, 100% my take on it, 100% my vision on what I'm seeing out there and what I'm experiencing and what I'm doing. So I'm hoping that some of it resonates with you, but if it doesn't, please don't hesitate to let me know what your thoughts and opinions are. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Pineapple Pin Up the Hot Wife Life podcast. I am loving doing this. And I would love to hear from you about, first of all, what you think of what I'm talking about, what things you'd like me to talk about, and maybe some stories I can share. If you'd like me to share your story, please don't hesitate to hit me up at pineapplepinuppod@gmail.com. You can also catch me on my Instagram. My Instagram is in the description of the podcast. And honestly, I would love to hear from you anytime.